Teenage brothers Michael and Sam move with their mother to a small town in Northern California. While the younger Sam meets a pair of kindred spirits and geeky comic book nerds Edward and Alan Frog, the angst-ridden Michael soon falls for Star, who turns out to be enthralled to David, the leader of a local gang of vampires. Sam and his new friends must save Michael and Star from the undead. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and in this episode we'll be covering 1987's The Lost Boys, directed by Joel Schumacher. This movie rocks! Welcome to Midnight Double Feature, guys. I am one of your hosts, Colin, this evening, along with Zoheb. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, dude. How you doing?
I'm doing well. But with us tonight covering Lost Boys by Joel Schumacher is Jessie Privett from Verbal Chaos Podcast, formerly Countdown to Geek Town. But how are you doing, buddy?
How are you guys doing? I was going to open with, well, if it isn't the Frog Brothers. I'm doing great. I'm very honored to be asked to get on here. It's been a long time coming.
It has, you know. Dude. We've been talking forever. You and I have been like, oh, dude, we should do Tremors 2 Aftershocks. That's a great movie. Oh, yeah. Like, we've been throwing around shit forever, but
I'm the Tremors guy.
Yes, you become like branded with the Tremors guy thing. Yeah. I mean, there's worse things to be branded, you know.
For sure.
First guy who ever figured out that cows had milk, but like, yeah, I don't want to be branded as that guy. That's a weirdo. But guys, if this is your first time listening to the show, we're going to be breaking down again Lost Boys from 1987. We are going to spoil this movie. There is an E on this motherfucker for a reason. We're going to go through it sequentially, not break it down exactly scene by scene, but we'll cover it from start to finish. If you guys want to check us out on any of our socials, you can find us on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. There's our group attached to that called The After Party, or on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Twitter at MDF Pod. Please stop by and rate and review us on iTunes. 5 stars, super easy, super quick. And also check out our website, midnightdoublefeature.com, and our Patreon, patreon.com/midnightdoublefeature. Sign up for the Green Room. It's only $5 a month. But with that out of the way, let's fucking jump into Lost Boys, dude. So, Jesse, I know you love this movie. I don't want to say I love it. I really, really, really like it. If I don't love it, I have like a foot in both, you know? So let's start with Zoheb. I want to know what you think of Lost Boys.
I've seen his face. I've been watching him. I'm like,
it's 80s movie, which I'm not saying Zoheb doesn't like 80s movies, but this might be too 80s for Zoheb. I feel like I was like reaching out for him, and he was just like, I don't know. That might be a little too, 80s for me. So, like, what did you think? You know? Like, I'm curious.
Look, firstly, dude, I love 80s movies. I mean, like,
right.
It's not just because the movie's old doesn't mean it automatically gets, like,
but this is
for me.
A lot of 80s, though.
There's so much 80s sauce on this movie, dude. It's insane.
Very.
Look, I think where I kind of like fell on it is it's okay. I'm kind of like struggling to see what the why everyone hails
what the fuss is all about.
Amazing movie. Yeah, I mean, like, look, it's a good movie. Like, okay, I'm gonna go as far to say that it's good. Like, I was like enjoying it. At no point did it bore me. Like, my number one rule is like in a movie, like, don't bore me, right? I mean, like, dude, I am still like half asleep from fucking the new Fast and Furious movie because it was boring as shit. Right? Like,
anything's got to be better after that. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, man, like, so this kind of like went, dude, I put it on. It was an hour and a half, and I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, thank God, because it uses its time really, really well. And yes, it is absolutely steeped in the whole 80s aesthetic, dude. But here's the thing for me. And you do this to me all the time. Like, every time it comes to your pick, it's always like, let's choose some fucking fantasy creature movie to do.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Like, growing up, I wasn't, my brother and I, it wasn't really vampires and werewolves. It was more action films. It was less so horror than it was action.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you haven't gained from this conversation, I saw this movie for the first time last night.
Okay, I figured so.
Yes, I'd never seen this movie before last night. So, being introduced to movies like this and Wolf, that we talked about very early on in the podcast, coming into, because that's 80s, right? Like the Wolf is an 80s
Early,
movie?
it's like 92, I think.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to say it's close to 80s. Like, they would have started production somewhere late 80s, but
Right,
like,
that script's probably written 85,
Right, totally. So, like being introduced to these kinds of movies in 2021/2020 and 2019, whatever, it's I'm coming into it with all of this baggage where everyone says that, holy shit, the Lost Boys, oh my god,
Yeah.
like I'm bringing all of that into it, and it's not fair to the movie. Like, it's not fair to the movie that I'm bringing all of that into it, and I try to separate hype from the actual movie all the time. Like, whenever I sit down and watch a movie, I'm like, all right, let me take away everything that what people have said about this movie, so I can judge it according to its own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that with this movie, and I ended up enjoying it. It's just like a lot of people like this movie, dude. Like, a lot of people like this movie, and there's never I haven't heard any word of dissent. Like, no one being like, it's alright. Like, like it's all like, I'm fucking on this movie. Let me grab its dick and whatever.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm keen to see, and Colin, you and I haven't done a podcast like this in a while, where you do a pick and I'm okay on the movie, and then by the end of the podcast, I'm like 100% on board.
Yeah, those are always fun.
We've definitely had a lot of those episodes, and I really want this to be it. Like, I want this to be one of those, because at this point, I'm just like, oh, cool. So youthful vampires, that's it. I'm just like, all right, cool, great. Yeah. So look, I don't go too hard in the whole vampire genre. I prefer, if I am watching a vampire movie, because I don't think, and we can get into this as a whole like discussion after you guys' thoughts, I don't think that there's been a perfect vampire film. And listen, like, hear me out, right? Like, hear me out. So I think movies like Bram Stoker's Dracula, I think that might be one of my favorites, because it's so heightened and operatic and epic, and like, and like a character like Dracula kind of needs to be that. Like, he kind of needs to be heightened. He can't be like a small scale kind of thing. I think the closest that we've kind of gotten to a perfect vampire film, and I unfortunately I haven't seen the Swedish original, but Let Me In. We covered Let Me In not too long ago. Oh, well, actually, quite a while ago. But I thought that was, I love the atmosphere in that. Like, I really like the dark take, and I think, if Joel Schumacher was alive today, rest in peace, by the way.
Yes.
If he was alive today, I think he would kind of make this like the Lost Boys in that kind of aesthetic. Like, sure, these are like kind of like teenage vampires. And you say all you want about, like, what the Twilight movies have done for teenage vampires, but I think if this were to be made today, it would probably be made in the style of like Let Me In, like, something a bit more darker, a bit more grittier, and that's something that I'd totally like turn up for. But look, I think like off the bat, I think it's a good movie. I just can't, for the life of me, figure out why everyone truly loves this movie. I think Kiefer Sutherland's great in it. I think Jason Patric's great in it. Like the makeup, like the effects, whatever. Like this, the aesthetic of it is really solid. I think Joel Schumacher, outside of his 2 Batman movies, is a pretty solid director. Like, we've talked about
fucking Flatliners. Come on,
Flatliners.
dude.
Yeah, Flatliners. We talked about
Falling Down.
But yes, dude, Falling Down. Yes, so good. So yeah, look, I think it's not there for me yet, but I'm hoping it will be by the time we get done with this conversation.
Hell yeah, dude. Nice. Jesse, you're the guest. Go for it. I know you love this movie. Come on, give it to me.
Well, it's interesting because very much like Zoab, 10 years ago, I hated this movie.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes. So it was very interesting. But to be honest, I never really gave it its fair shake. Because I have 3 sisters, right? And so growing up in the 80s, yeah, so it was all heartthrob, this, that, and all this other shit. It's just like, oh my God, I don't want anything to do with that, because it's just all pretty boys. It's all, the fashion, right? All I saw was the fashion. Well, I met my wife. She's very much into the 80s, always has been. Actually favors Jamie Gertz a little bit, especially in high school. So maybe I do like that dirty gypsy look about her.
I gotta say, man, she's fucking hot.
Yes, I fell in love with Jamie Gertz in Twister. That's where I fell in love with her. And then I found out she was in this movie.
If you don't like her, and if you don't, what is that meme? It's like, if you don't like me at my this, you don't deserve me at my that. It's like, you don't like her in Twister, you don't deserve her in Lost Boys. Get out of here.
100%. So, now I've grown to appreciate the 80s a lot more. I was very much a snob of it. I was give me 90s, give me the extreme, everything. Yeah. I wanted to be on the bleeding edge. It was all comic books. It was all it before it was cool, I am the old man here, I believe, right? So I just turned 38. So, I mean, it is very much, it's strange to see it. Now Marvel's all over the place, but back in the day, we would do like fan casting. We were like, who do we want to play Wolverine? Because we'll never see it, kind of stuff like that. So I was very much into that, and I hated the Lost Boys. And then I started giving it a second chance. I got very much into synthwave, the music. I used to do spray paint art out in my garage. Maybe I was just getting high off the fumes.
That's what I was gonna say.
But with the door closed. I would play synthwave. It was very creative juices. It started opening up, my childhood, I suppose. So I started revisiting stuff from the 80s, and Halloween come around, and it was our first year of recording Countdown to Geektown. I was like, you know what? Let's do Lost Boys. So we did it, and I realized, holy shit, I love this movie. It's crazy, If I can go the rest of my life without hearing someone say Michael, though, I'll be okay.
Jesus, dude.
I mean, come on. I think it's said well over 100 times in this movie.
In a 97-minute movie, it's like 110 times. It's like, that's like 1.275 Michaels every minute, dude. Yeah. Come on.
I went to sleep, and all I could hear was
I was on a call today. I was on a fucking call today, and I called the guy Michael.
Oh no.
And I swear to God, that's not made up. I went, and I was looking at the TV because Lost Boys is on. I just threw it on in the background, and I was like, Michael, and I was like, whatever your fucking name is, sorry.
Michael, join us, Michael. But no, so like my personal favorite vampire movie, I believe my top one would have to be 30 Days a Night.
Nice.
Seriously, I mean, I hate the comic book because of the artwork. I'm very much, my artwork has to be precise, and that artwork is all over the place. Like, it's crazy. It looks like an acid dream or something. So I never could get into the comic book, but when I saw that movie in the theaters, I was like, fuck. And so I just constantly play 30 Days a Night. I love it. I think it sets a great tone. This is on the other spectrum. I love this for other reasons, and not for the vampires, because the vampires are kind of, they're only in like 2 scenes, really. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, that's true. They're not in a lot. Yeah.
And, it's crazy to think, this really was the first kind of portrayal of teenage darkness like that, because 2 years later, Batman comes out, right? And then it takes over the world, and everything becomes, goth, a little
edgier, a little darker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this, back, like I said, my sisters loved all the heartthrobs, and I was like, I'm not even gonna give it a chance, but I've now given it a chance, and I've grown to love it. I think the memes are really what kind of set it apart with the Setsy Sats, man. I post that meme anytime I can, just because it's just bullshit. It's just funny,
You do, the image is just like, there's nothing, your mind can't confuse that for anything else in the world. And everybody knows what it's from.
You're like, that's Joel Schumacher. I mean,
yes.
What is he doing? But
that's actually the guy who put nipples on a bat suit. Hell yeah. That's
Well, he was Joel Schumacher was gay, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he was pretty.
I saw an article that he did some interview, and he was like claimed to have slept with like 20,000 people, and I was like,
I read that. Yeah,
good
I was
God.
like, they were talking about
Genghis Khan. Who's this guy?
He even said it was really dark, but he was like, it was the 80s, and when I went to go get an HIV test, I was shocked that I didn't have anything, and I was like, wow, well, yeah, I would be too if you're. I mean,
holy crap,
fucking probably 10,000 through your 20,000 man spree. Like, fuck.
Talk about Lost Boys. Boy, they were just all up in it then, huh?
Yeah. But I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, that's okay. It's just it's interesting to hear, and so in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe Z-Man there will appreciate it in like 10 years or so. You know, get a little years under you. Yeah. But I don't know. You know, you're not from that. When were you born? You know.
I was born in 93, so I mean, this movie predates me by what, 6 years? So.
Yeah. So I mean, you might skew toward it. You might be like, oh, okay, cool. This. You know, because I really, really, really hated this movie. I would not give it a chance. So it's interesting to hear. I was curious, and I could see your face. I was like, he probably did not like it. You know, Mr. Marvel over here. You know, you knew that was going to happen, but it's shot very well and it's lit very well.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very stylized.
Speaking, it's really, really beautiful looking movie.
Now,
just quickly, I thought this was a Peter Pan film for the longest time.
It was supposed to be.
Well, okay, yeah, because I did some reading a little bit this morning, and I was like, oh, okay. All right, well, so I'm not too far off the mark.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, and they were supposed to be about maybe pushing 10, and Joe Schumacher is actually the one to give credit for that. He wanted to sexify it, even though, you know, these guys are supposedly 18, and I think they were 18, but was it Jason Patrick? He looks like he's 30. I'm sorry.
Dude, how did that guy never play Superman? Like,
right.
You look amazing. Like,
with that jaw.
Dude,
come on.
Yeah. Like, I love Henry Cavill, but like, come on, dude. Like, Jason Patrick would have been Jesus. I didn't catch this till I was like, I know I was at least driving. I might have been 16 to 20, but I really can't remember exactly when I saw it. But I remember liking it. Didn't really like, you know, blow my socks off or anything. But eventually I ended up, you know, it's just kind of one of those movies I think that I've got to own. And I'd throw it on every once in a while, you know, but it's like you go through phases. I'll go through phases of like, well, he's got it on fucking Blu-ray.
I got all three of them, and I have not watched the other two.
I fucking wouldn't either, dude. I go through phases. Like, I feel like I would probably pick this back up in a couple of years and watch it a few more times, like over the course of a couple of days, and put it on in the background, stuff like that. I think that this is a very good movie. It's not a perfect movie, and it's I would venture to say it's a great movie. But it starts to, you know, it's like if the meter were filling up, it just barely taps great for me. And right. I think that it's got a lot of style over substance. I think, you know,
100%.
The story is cool. Don't get me wrong, and I love the whole take. From what I was reading, the what is her name? I wrote it down. Janice Fisher, the screenwriter, she started it, and she was, like you said, she wanted kids. She wanted like 9-year-olds fighting like 13-year-olds, like, you know, and the 13-year-olds were vampires. And the whole thing was that one of the other screenwriters, I can't remember the name, the one that she wrote it with, they were like, why can Peter Pan fly and why does he never grow old? And she was like, I don't know why. And they're like, because he's a vampire. And she was like, oh shit. And I was like, dude, just that light bulb moment of like, fuck, that makes, you know, it's almost a fan theory, you know, but it makes so much sense. But, you know, I think this is one of those movies that if you don't really catch it super young, the odds of you liking it when you're older, like, narrow down. But, you know, I think that if you catch it at the right time, if I had watched this when I was 30, I probably still would like it, but I wouldn't like it as much as when I first saw it when I was like 15, 16, 17, whenever that was.
You just need to be spray painting in your garage. You'll love it. Yeah.
With the door closed.
Yeah. No, it was all ventilated. I had it going,
but the internet. I mean,
this is garage up to code.
Right. It's just like a shack.
Yeah. I love like Charlie from It's Always Sunny with the chrome spray paint.
I would honestly say the quintessential like vampire film for me is probably Fright Night. That's probably the first one that I saw, the 85 with Chris Sarandon. Super nice guy. We saw him at a convention. He was really fucking cool. We met Charlie and we met Amy, and Chris Sarandon did like a panel with what's his name? Carrie Elways, whatever the fuck his name is.
Carrie Elways.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I mean, I like this movie. You know, I get why somebody might not like it. It definitely has some style over substance issues, and the story has some like major plot holes. And there's one at the end that I will definitely like. It kind of is like, dude, you're breaking your own rules. Like, I know the story is not like super important here, but I think that the reason why this, like, I can see where Zohab's coming from. Like, why do people just love this movie? Because I was kind of, you know, basically an adult almost when I first saw it. So I kind of have a foot in like both worlds of like, I see why people don't like it, but I also see past those kind of problems for what's the good that lies underneath it. I think there's a lot of stuff about like sexuality in the 80s, a lot of like homosexuality and just like ideals of masculinity. And, you know, you got like the nuclear family is becoming like a totally different thing in the 80s. You have like a single mom with 2 kids living with a grandfather. And now you've got like a dad with these lost boys. Like it's not the exact like nuclear family. So I think there's some interesting stuff going on like beneath the surface, and we can kind of like peel that away as we get into it. But really, the production side of shit is what got me like the most on this, because it was like originally they wanted like, what's his name? Richard Donner, you know, and Richard Donner passed to do Lethal Weapon. I was like, hell yeah, good choice. Like,
good choice.
And the
he
woman
still
that
produced it though.
Yeah, he did. And there's like, even at one point in the video store, there's like a copy of the Goonies, like you can see it. But then also the woman that came up with kind of the initial idea, Janice Fisher, when it turned into what it turned into, she actually wanted her name like off of it. But once it had actually sold, they're like, you're fucked. And she was like, well, okay. Like, I learned to appreciate it later. You know, I was like, yeah, once you got that fucking check, like when it sold, she had to keep her name on it. So that's why it's on there. But apparently this bounced around to like Richard Donner. Mary Lambert, who did Pet Sematary, was on it at one point. I was like, that's awesome. I like Mary Lambert. But the funny thing was, I was going to pick fucking Edward Scissorhands, but I was like, you know, Diane Weiss, she's in both. Fuck it. Let's go Lost Boys.
You could have chose. Hold on. Those were your 2 choices, and you didn't go with Edward Scissorhands?
I was so close. I was so close. I was like, you know what? I feel like
dropping the ball, you motherfucker.
he did it to open your eyes. That's all it is. You know?
Yeah, that's what it is.
He wants to see you.
I feel like he's pinning me down and like
just spitting a loogie in your face.
Why are you hot?
Dude, Kiefer Sutherland holds on to the word Michael like Heath Ledger holds on to like licking the, like it's almost it's almost like an acting tick. Like it's almost like something for you to hold on to. Like you can ground every sentence and just kind of hover around it. Yeah, exactly. But the interesting thing is, like, you know, not only did it pass from Mary Lambert to Richard Donner, Ben Stiller auditioned for this.
Yeah.
And Ben Stiller was like, it got down to me and like Kiefer and some other people. And I was like, you imagine him with like the big hair and be like, hey, yeah, what's going on? You know,
he'll just be doing that blue steel everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, that Zoolander look.
Oh, like, dude, I could not imagine.
God, he would have been a terrible choice for this movie.
Dude,
what the fuck?
I mean, half these, speaking of style over substance, one of these guys, I don't think he had ever acted in anything. I think he was a model or something.
Yeah,
it was just
I think two of them were models, right?
Yeah, I think so. You might be right, but I was like,
How have we not talked about Alex Winter, dude?
Yeah.
Like, from Bill and Ted.
Marco.
Yeah.
It's
only
so
has like
weird.
2 lines in it.
I know, because this is pre Bill and Ted, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is right before it. Yeah.
So now it's like to see him, and he has like a couple of lines. He's the first to die, and I was like, Alex Winter, and I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get it. Like he's probably the ugliest one out of the 4. I guess
it was the jacket. The jacket just it needed to go.
It was his curls, dude. It was his curls.
Dude, it's so funny to watch him try to be intimidating in this movie. Because it's just, he looks like a 5-year-old just trying to be like, yeah, I'm a part of this group too.
Yeah. He's the creepiest.
Like, get him, guys, get him.
Yeah. When the vampires turn, he's the fucking creepiest looking one, though, man. He creeps the fuck out of me so bad. I think it's because of the curls, and he's got a kind of weird looking face. But anyways, that's kind of like my opening thoughts. I enjoy it. You know, it's not a perfect film, but I think that it deserves most of the praise that it gets. But I think that there's people who watch this when they're younger and don't realize the flaws and stuff, and don't realize some stuff, and that's okay. You know, I'm not trying to ruin your parade, but I don't think you're being quite as objective as you think you are. That's just my personal. You know, I grew up the youngest of 4, so I know people who are 40, 45 years old. They're like, this is the best movie ever made. I'm like, I don't know about that.
No.
I'm sure it's a lot of people's first introduction to vampires, and for that, it's like, dude, you have to give it like 8 points, like right off the bat. Like there's so much shit, and especially at a time when it was like, you had your choice of vampire movies, dude. You had this, you had Fright Night, you had Near Dark, all in like a 2 to 3 year kind of like Once Bitten. You had a lot of 80s vampire shit. And I think that this, because we did a poll actually, and we threw up all these different like vampire movies. And I'm looking it up right now. And out of, I don't even know, like 12, 14 different choices, fucking Lost Boys won by 14 votes. But you know what came in second? Blade. And I was like, what? I mean, it's a great movie. Like, I like Blade. I'm not knocking it. But like Bram Stoker's Dracula, Interview with a Vampire, like Fright Night. That
People
blew
just
my
want to
mind.
have fun. Those others, they're more heady.
That's true.
You have to really dive deep into them. Blade, whatever, man. It's the techno music driving it.
Yeah, dude, that first scene is like one of the best, but so many of them, right after it was like Interview the Vampire, Bram Stoker's Dracula, From Dusk Till Dawn.
I love Interview with the Vampire, dude. That shit is great.
I think that was the first vampire movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Was Interview with the Vampire. I think I was sitting here trying to think. I was like, what was the first one? I think it was that one.
Hell yeah,
dude. I think vampires for me were introduced. I don't want to say it was, it's tough to say introduced because you really got to cast your mind back.
Yeah.
It's Supernatural when I was like really into it, like back when I was, it was 2006, 2005. So I'm like 12 years old. I definitely had been introduced to the concept of vampires before then and probably would have watched the movie. There was an episode, I think, in season 1 that really, I think now looking in hindsight, leaned on the Lost Boys as kind of like an inspiration because
was it called Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I'm sorry.
That's where I was gonna go with it.
Well, that episode of Supernatural portrayed like these vampires as like people who would like roll into town on like Harleys and like leather jackets and shit. And then,
sounds familiar.
They go back to their clubhouse and just fuck
Jim Morrison.
Right, exactly. So. I think for me it wasn't exactly movies, it was more TV that really introduced me to vampires. But
I think this is probably, I'd say Friday Night's probably my first proper solo vampire movie, but it's got it. I mean, Monster Squad. It's Duncan Regehr. Like that dude's a perfect fucking Dracula. But
have any of you seen Nosferatu?
I want to.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I was like actually scrolling through and I was like, what is the best, vampire movie ever made?
It's pretty creepy looking. If you look at it, I've
seen
so
scenes
creepy
on YouTube. It is unsettling even today. Like, it's like, damn.
Yeah. I think it's not even like, I'm going to get, it's just like, I am unnerved. Like the image is just that German black and white, just like, God. I say, let's jump into this shit. Well, let's start knocking this movie out.
My God, dude. I'm just like, shut the fuck up, man.
Come on, man.
Dude, it's good, but there's moments they abuse it, and one is at the end with Max touching David's face. It's like.
Yeah, they do that all throughout this movie. They have like little, like starting off, they're like, and it's like, where is this coming from? Is this the score? Is that what it is? Which is Thomas Newman, by the way.
Oh yeah, I know. We'll get to that, but you want to put me in a bad mood, like while we're fucking about to start a movie, dude? Like, give me ethereal female voices citing like fucking 10 Commandments. Cool, great, awesome.
Dude.
This started all that. Zack Snyder just stole it with all his covers and stuff.
Dude, what I so wanted to do was like, as this went on, if they slipped in, if they were like throwing in like recipes and shit, like 2 cups of milk.
It works for everything.
There was like subliminal messaging.
If you do like a shot every time it plays, you're going to be blackout by the end of
it. You're going to be getting a DUI with Kiefer Sutherland. That's what's going to fucking happen. That poor dude. I love him, but man, he's been I'm not like celebrity gossip and shit, but it's like, fucking dude, you're one of the most amazing actors. Like, get your shit together, man. I love you. Please.
I think the two Corys got it worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Thomas Newman. We need to.
Yes, we do.
Go for it.
Dude, The Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, American Beauty, Green Mile. Like, how can you not? And I really enjoyed the non-ethereal female voice score in this movie. You know, other than the actual, other than that shit. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think he did a solid job of like, because, this is all about tone. Like in these early moments, you're really trying to set the tone. So I think he really kind of like, absolutely nails like, what kind of movie you're about to be in for.
I think the opening scene actually really, I think it lends itself to a lot of other vampire movies, just to fly in. And they did that because of budgetary. They couldn't show them flying, so they just did a helicopter to simulate it, right?
Yeah.
And it shows them flying over the boardwalk. And I think Interview starts that way, where it flies in on the city. I'm not 100% sure. I hadn't seen it in a while. But I think it heavily influenced a lot of other vampire movies just on front of
that
things.
First person flying.
Yes. Which is Evil Dead, right? I mean, it's a form of that. Yeah.
It's Jaws.
Did Superman do that?
I don't know if they did first person like that. Maybe. I'm not a huge fan of the Superman movies. I know it's blasphemy, but
dude. Speaking of budget shit, I read that they cut like right before filming. They're like, we're cutting 35% of your budget. It's like,
oh Jesus,
what? And and the thing is, like, I mean, it's a quick 90-minute movie. Fuck, half the $8.5 million they spent on this movie probably went to Diane Weist's salary. She's like, I'm getting paid, bitch. Like, I'm a fucking.
She just won an Oscar, right? So. Yeah, studios do that because they didn't know what they were making. They didn't know if it's going to be a horror movie or a comedy movie, and they kept saying yes. Both,
And what's crazy is they dumped this in July, which is like, it's not a bad. I mean, summer movie, I guess that shows some kind of faith, but like, this is not really a horror movie. Like, this is a comedy. Like, Shaun of the Dead is a horror movie with comedy elements. Like, this feels like a comedy movie with like light. Why the fuck is this rated R?
Blood.
But like, I mean, you hardly see any though. Like
those jaw lines, I guess.
Right.
They're very sensitive.
The orgasms they were calling.
The scene when buckets of blood are coming out of every fucking tap.
Yep. That's probably true. Yeah. I think this is a solid PG-13 today. I think you definitely like get away with this.
They didn't even have PG-13 back then. It was just PG.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is this
not until
Temple
Raiders?
Of Doom? It is.
Oh
right?
Yeah, Temple of Doom. Mm-hmm. Well, this is 87. When's Temple of Doom?
87.
Isn't that like 80? Oh, is it? Okay. I like this whole kind of setup too, because you start with that carousel and it's just like that very innocent. They're definitely setting the bed here for what they're trying to do, and the funny thing is seeing Michael and he just walks up to that, and that chick doesn't even fight it. She's just like, "Oh, hi," and it's like, "Yeah, of course you would," because it's
yeah.
He's Kiefer Sutherland. What are you gonna do? Fucking Billy Idol over here is gonna bang this chick.
I'm gonna say, man, Kiefer Sutherland makes such a good douchebag. I mean, if you look at this, if you look at I was about to say The Body.
Stand by Me.
Yeah. Dude, so fucking good, man. He's so good.
I think this got him. I think Stand By Me got him this part. I think he saw him and had to have him. But there is something, just that confidence, though, where it's like, confident, not cocky. I think that's what I like about him. Is it you have like, he doesn't seem like a loudmouth about it. He's a very quiet, kind of confident. When you can rip the head off of everybody within 100 feet of you, it's like, well, yeah, you don't really, you feel like a god, like, and I think he exudes that so well of just like, and I love that, dude.
I know that feeling. I do that every day.
That's the way I feel on my way to work. But dude, I like that these people pop up later. They're the ones who are stealing the comic books and shit. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, I think these are the people they fuck up at the bonfire, because there's like a bald dude with a septum piercing, and I was like,
it's the same group. Yeah, okay. But they get those two in the car.
Right. And that's watching this, I was like, dude, they take just from this one incident, they kill the guard, they kill the two people, they kill the whole group. Like, I was like, God, let it fucking go, you obsessed bitch. Like, goddamn. But that dude, what the 80s and the 90s loved was an overweight, dark-haired, mustache cop in a tan uniform. That's what they loved.
Did you see what they named him, dude? It's the most, like, his name in the movie. God damn it, I can't remember what it is now. Fuck,
you bitch.
You've been trying to look for it.
You built it up, and now
I've been trying to look for it for the last 5 minutes, but like, it's the most, it fits his like look so perfectly. Hold on, I'll tell you in a sec. Just keep talking.
Oh, dude. The thing that cracks me up is that, that they loved, they love casting these kind of like, this is almost like proto Dewey from Scary Movie. He's got the same mustache. He's like, it's like Newman from Seinfeld and Dewey from from Scream had a baby. There's something so goofy about that.
And he can't open his damn door. It's the most frustrating part.
Yeah, well, that and like seeing, seeing the overhead shot, like it, obviously we're having a laugh and we're goofing stuff, but just seeing his legs just disappear into the dark is like, oh no, like that leaves me just feeling like, just like being pulled away into some dark place is like, oh, that's fucking terrifying. But we're introduced to, let me see here. First kill, we're introduced to the Emerson family as well as Santa Carla pretty much as a whole. I love the way that they use the credits in this. They set up this world, murder capital of the world. Like I think that the funny thing is in the credits, though, as you're watching it, as they're playing this Echo and the Bunnymen, People Are Strange. And as you're watching it, they're cutting to like, the guy with the hood on, people with mohawks and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's like, don't cut to these people and then cut back to Kiefer Sutherland and Jason Patrick. These people aren't weird. These are normal people. You have a cast full of Greek gods and goddesses. Then you cut to these like normal people like, look at these fucking weirdos. It's like, you're an asshole, dude. Like all these are just normal kind of, for the most part, like just normal looking people. And it's just such a weird, gap between the two. When you look at, I mean, goddamn, the cast of this movie could be like the cast of Justice League. It's like so many beautiful people in it.
I've got the name. What? The security guy's name, dude. The name looks exactly what he looks like. Vernon Beasley. Vernon.
Poor Vernon. Always
Holy
getting taken.
Shit.
Vernon, dude. That's so. He looks like fucking John Polito from The Crow. Like he looks.
You know who he looks like, dude? He looks like the guy from very, very briefly in T2, the penitentiary security guard who like. T-1000 walks up behind him.
Oh, the redheaded dude.
He's the twin.
Yeah, the twins. Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, is it that guy? But it's not. It's not. That
he
guy.
Fucking gets it in the eye. Like, man, that's a good kill. But yeah, I love the way they use their credits. I like films that just, again, 97 minutes long, dude, and we just like that rock just skips over water perfectly.
No fluff.
Yeah. We get home. We're introduced to Grandpa. He's kooky. Sam's a cunt. Michael points out they're broke. I just cracked. Sam's like, dude, there's nothing to do here. And it's like, you live on like an 8,000 square foot house, dude. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And I can't believe this shit. Like, you wearing designer clothes. You live in California in the 80s, and you live on a goddamn ranch from what it looks like. Like, you whiny bitch.
And they want to go back to Phoenix and not be in California in the 80s? Come on.
Like, is Phoenix not a? What's the joke here? Is Phoenix not a good place?
I mean, it's definitely not.
As opposed
to California, I've been
Southern Cali in the 80s. That's where you want to be.
Dude, Corey Haim in this reminds me of Stifler's younger brother in American Pie 2. Right?
I haven't seen that forever.
Dude, let me watch. Let me watch,
dude,
man.
Yeah. You go on it. Dude, seriously. Like the oversized shirt, like, the really cocky, like, attitude. Yeah.
He was very Duran for sure in this movie.
Dude, absolutely. And I think that, it sucks seeing what happened to Corey. It's like, I don't know which one is worse. Like, and I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to make a joke. It's like, would you want to die early like Corey Haim did or live like Corey Feldman is now? And it's like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Because Corey Feldman, like, that guy's been through some shit. Let's be 100% up front. Like, somebody fucked that dude up.
They both have. That's why they were doing the drugs and all that.
Like Corey Feldman, I read a fucking story that he went to the LAPD in like 92 and he was like, hey, there's these people abusing me. There's these really powerful people in Hollywood. And they were like, what are we going to do about it? And apparently they found his tape from like 20, whatever, almost 30 years ago. And I was like, oh shit. So like you legit have been
talked
in
about
this.
Yeah,
probably.
I think we talked about it when we did Stand By Me or something else.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah. And it sucks because it's like, he's a talented guy. I think, he's just going through a lot of shit. And like now it's really hard to think people are questioning his story because obviously, he's just gone through a real rough patch, like drugs and career and stuff like that. Like it's hard to blame somebody for questioning it. But at the same time, it's like, dude, this guy's been talking about this shit for 30 years. Like, I don't really know what else to tell you,
I think when Corey Haim died, they said he had hundreds of prescription.
Jesus.
Like he just doctor shopped and just to do it. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, he was emotionally tormented, I suppose. And that's,
Well, especially now. I mean, dude, just especially everything that's coming out now, and you have these two kids that are like the most popular thing in the world in the 80s. It's like, dude, come on, no way.
I think Feldman was on cocaine when they made this. Like, he actually got fired off of it.
No shit.
He come back the next day begging and said he would be strictly professional after that, and he was, and so he stayed on. Which is crazy because they're 15.
Right? I had sold him that cocaine, dude. The big oiled up guy. 100% he's dealing. 100%.
I thought you were going to say Robert Downey Sr.
he was a druggie, but he got big because he quit heroin cold turkey, right? And so
that's what I've heard.
He went into bodybuilding. Yeah, he went into bodybuilding for that. But yeah, you are not far off. You know, he was deep into the drugs.
Yeah,
as I think most of the grown-ups were in the 80s. You know, in Hollywood.
I watched a panel, it's like Kiefer, Jason Patrick, like even Laddie, like everybody's there. The guy who wrote the theme song, and the the nicest person up there is Tim Capello. And he's like, I'm so happy to be here. And it's like, yeah, I bet, dude, you did 30 seconds worth of work and you're in pop culture for forever now. It's like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I've heard he's super, super nice.
Yeah. I like them pointing out the weed, grandpa shit, and, point out the shelf with this is my double stuffed Oreos. Like,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I love
you can be an old senile grandpa before
I know. I'm fucking halfway there. I like it. I like the way he talks with it. It's just like, he's a little too goofy sometimes, I was like, okay, dude, lay off this a little bit. I don't know. But
he uses taxidermy to get dates, so he's very kooky.
Yeah, I think once you like see all the taxidermy shit and he's laying on the floor, I'm like, okay, dude, we get it. He's kooky. I don't need like 9 more incidents of him. Where's the Windex? And I'm like, okay, dude. They ask him about being the murder capital of the world. If all the corpses around here was to stand up at once, we'd have one hell of a population problem. Enter a greased up sax man as Tim Capello, as we've been talking about. Michael spots Star in the crowd. This is one of the first couple of times they use slow-mo, and they do it really well. Yeah, and it's actually, if you watch it, it's just a little slowed down. And the same thing happens when Michael wakes up after falling into the bed. Mm-hmm. Sam's just a little slowed down, and I was like, dude, that's amazing. I've never caught that. Slow
to normal. They ramp it up. Yeah.
I like that. It feels like the entrance of like something big, like I think that's really cool. We kind of get this cute chase between them and stuff. I get it that they're trying to show how close Sam and Michael are. And I definitely get that, man. I definitely do. But there are times where I would look at either one of my brothers and say, stop fucking touching me, dude. Like, stop it.
Dude,
like,
I was literally about to like, Sam, can you back the fuck off, man?
Yes.
Holy shit, I'm trying to get laid over here. Yeah. We just moved into town. Like, it's a fucking weird place. I'm going to go and run this woman down. Can you leave me alone? Fuck.
But also, like, dude, how can you leave a fucking 14-year-old kid in a crowd like this? Somebody scoop him up in a heartbeat.
It's the 80s, man. It's very different. You
that's true. See, when I was 14, I looked 30, so it's like nobody's gonna fucking bother. I was 6'3" and 300 pounds. Like, no one's gonna bother me. But this, I
got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
You ever just see a hot girl at like a rave or like a music festival, and you like her so much?
You just stare at her?
You stare at her. You stare at her. She takes off to go to the bar or whatever, or the bathroom, and you just run after her. You just fucking run.
This plays very differently today.
Yeah. Trying to think if ever I've had the nerve to do that. No, I would say not. No.
God,
but if I look like Jason Patrick, I would probably do it. Yeah.
Yeah. If I look like Jason Patrick and it was Jamie Gertz, I would maybe I'll consider. But like, I wouldn't. He's got this like Night Stalker vibe to him. It's like
very stalkerish. It's like, holy shit.
Just quickly while we're on it, Jason Patrick. First time I was introduced to him was a fun movie. Not really for him. But The Losers, have you guys seen The Losers?
I love The Losers.
I know what you're talking about.
Dude, so fun, man. Like, that came out the same, I think, week as The A-Team.
Yep.
And everyone was expecting The A-Team to be this massive movie. I'm talking about the one with Liam Neeson and shit.
Right,
like, The Losers was like, it's Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana.
I love it quite a bit, and it's very underrated.
Yeah. Really good, really good. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Speed
one
2?
thing that right, Speed. Oh my god.
Yeah,
well, you know who like what his lineage is, right? Like Jason Patric's dad is Jason Miller from The Exorcist, and
no way.
I think that Jason Patric's grandfather on his mother's side is Jackie Gleason. From the
craziness.
Like that guy is royalty, like, dude, like your dad is, I think he won an Oscar for Exorcist. He won a Pulitzer Prize for like a play he wrote. Like, dude, that whole family is like, I
read his stepbrother is in After Dark as well. So they're full on into the vampire movie.
Oh wait, yeah, Near Dark, yeah, dude. His brother, I think, is like
the old man, the little kid or something.
That dude's creepy in that movie. He's like, I want a child bride. This kind of chase ensues. They cut back and forth. There's a weird deleted scene of this, and it's Corey Haim, and she eventually flakes him off, and he's like, she wants you, all of you, and it's just like Jesus Christ, dude.
I watched those earlier. I was like, okay,
that's some of these. I want to look over at one of my brothers and just some hot chick and just go, she wants you, all of you. Like they would either laugh or go like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't have a brother, but if I had a brother who was stalking a lady or a teenage girl with a little kid with her all the time, I'd be like, there's something up with that. You might not want to go over
You might want to back away. Not today, disco lady. But the, chase ensues. Mom spots the flyer for the dead cop. That's a fucking dark moment, man.
Yeah, with his wife putting it up.
No. Vernon Beasley, goddammit.
Oh, yeah.
His
name
respect.
was Vernon Beasley.
His name was Vernon Beasley.
Some guy comes up and rips the fucking missing poster down. It's like, Vernon's a piece of shit, just spits in her face and walks off. It's like, Jesus Christ.
The old Sats guy puts up his next concert poster.
Yeah.
Right over the top of it.
He just pushes
can we
her.
talk about Max?
Dude, Edward Herrmann. I love it.
I don't know who this guy is. Sorry.
It's Edward Herrmann.
Thank you.
The Edward Herrmann.
I was like, is this guy like a crossbreed between Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis? Like, dude, like he's literally
that's great.
Like, he's got the mannerisms of Dan Aykroyd, but kind of like the facial features a little bit of like Harold Ramis as well. Yeah, it's like a combination.
For the longest time, I thought it was the Munster dad.
Fred Gwynn.
Yeah. I was like, is that fucking him?
So
it's him.
I did too, and here's what. So Fred Gwynn, Pet Sematary. Oh, Mary Lambert.
Yep.
He was Herman Munster, and then I think there's a TV movie where Edward Herrmann played Herman Munster, and that fucks me up just even thinking about it. It's like Edward Herman Munster kind of thing. I like him though. He's likable, and I think that's why he's such a great red herring is because he's so, you have a protective nature. I like that in her. He gives her a lollipop. He's playful. He's jovial. I was like, dude, that's great. Like, there's a great deleted scene when they're eating, and he's like, oh, we'll start with caviar. We'll have lobster tails and a bottle of 75, like Chateau Go or something. It's like, oh, dude, he's such a fucking nice guy. You want to like him.
Tell you what, it worked on me. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming.
So the twist worked.
Nice.
No, it did. Like, look, I knew that there was like 15 minutes left in the movie, so I was like, all right, that's like
somebody here.
Sutton's not the head. He's not the head vampire. And then they come home, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's fucking Max. But up until then, it didn't it worked on me. I was like on board because I think he is charming, like in a very dry kind of like way. Like, he's always trying to get that date, like that successful date.
I watched the commentary track with Joel Schumacher, and he said a lot of people thought it was Grandpa.
Oh,
I could see that, man.
That would have been a hell of a twist.
I suspected it for a second.
Really?
Yeah,
but he was out in the sunlight quite a bit,
Yeah. There's theories around there that he is a vampire, that all the taxidermy animals are the blood that he drinks. And
Jose in the comments, in the after party, Jose Rivera says there's a theory that the grandfather is a big, vampire hunter.
Yeah.
My brother Adam said something about that.
I love that. I love that.
I think it's cool.
I want to write a prequel.
Yes.
With just Grandpa. I would love to do
dude. The comic books, just to nerd out, I Wikipedia'd them. I don't own any of the comic books, but the Widow Johnson becomes a character called Black Widow Johnson. And I was like, oh, that's fucking neat. I was like,
so they're taking comes out next month.
Yeah, right? I was about to say that, right? Like it's been delayed a few times.
So I think there's and apparently like she has like a troop of like Lost Girls. So they did actually, because they were going to make a sequel called Lost Girls, and it just never came about.
Fucking Hollywood always need to fucking sexualize shit. Here we go,
dude.
The liberal agenda. Damn it.
I think now would be if they were like, hey, we're gonna do Lost Girls and drop it on Amazon Prime or Netflix. It's like, I'm down. Like, I'm cool. Like, I think this movie has some cool.
8. Nah, it'll be Ghostbusters 2016. Or
that's the only thing is I'm like, dude, I don't hate those movies because I mean they're just not. I don't have any interest. Like if you can capture the original thing and do your own thing at the same time, I'm fucking so down, dude. But like, please don't. I'm
gonna tell you right now, a female version of this, it'll get torn apart by the masses.
Oh yes, it will, 100%. Yeah.
Even if it's great, it would get fucking destroyed. And I'm like, just don't, Charlie's Angels, shit like that. Like, no, just don't turn it into something like that. Like, if it's R-rated, make it R-rated. But anywho, she ends up finding a little boy's mom, which is weird. There's a part where she's like, bye, Terry. And I'm like, you just moved here. How the fuck do you know this woman? Like, what happened? They strike up a conversation, she and Max, and she admits she's a broke ass bitch. No, I'm just kidding. She's a single mom who's trying really hard. Sam splits away from Michael and meets the Frog Brothers. The three bond over Superman, Batman comics, and they attempt to sell him on vampires everywhere. But Sam declines. What'd you guys think of the Frog Brothers?
You mean what is it? Edgar and Allan Poe? That's their names, right? That's their names, right?
I didn't even think about
frogs, that. Right? Yeah, they're Rambo light, I guess.
That's what Feldman said. He was like, Schumacher was like, go rent all the Chuck Norris and Stallone movies you can, and that's what you are. And he was like, okay. He's like, so I just hung out for a weekend and watched a bunch of movies, and I was back Monday.
That's actually where a lot of the humor comes from, because they're playing it the straight man. They're dead set on this devotion to it, and everybody else is laughing at them.
Right, and they're the guys that are not in on the joke, but they are kind of the joke, Joe, what did you think about them?
Yeah, they were good, man. I was really, I was wondering, because, I mean, obviously, I'm watching the credits as this movie opens, and I was like, oh, Corey Feldman's in this. And I was wondering what role he was going to be playing. Because I think at this point, what other movies has Corey Feldman been in other than
Goonies? He was
Stand
in
By
Goonies.
Me and yeah, that's the other one. So Stand By Me and Goonies. What else has he been in?
Friday the 13th. He was in one of the early.
Part 3.
He was. That's right. He was in. Yeah, he was in the early ones. That's right.
The Burbs. He's into Burbs.
With Tom Hanks.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. That's great.
So this was a little bit of a different role.
License to Drive, all this other stuff.
Yeah. I dig him, dude. I dig these two guys. I kind of like the whole. They're just kind of like, not welcoming Corey Haim's character in, but they just underestimate him, and they're just kind of like,
you got to do the voice.
This fucking shitbag from fucking Phoenix, you piece of shit. You don't know comics, you motherfucker. This is like everyone at every convention, by the way.
I'll tell you. Yeah, I was about to say that stuff was really real. So I remember, I don't want to really talk too much about it, but I would be on the football team growing up in high school and, other stuff. So I wouldn't look like your prototypical nerd back in the day. So I'd walk into a comic store and they'd follow me around and then they'd quiz me just like this.
No shit.
And they might have got it from this fucking movie, but they were like, so what are you here? What are you looking for? And they would just think I was there kind of, I don't know what the hell they thought it was.
Fuck off, dude.
Yeah. And it's always like some 45-year-old, like the Simpsons character,
some gatekeeper who's like, you sound like Linker.
And he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm looking for the latest, so-and-so. And it's like, speaking of which, I would love to get a Batman number 14. It's worth
for real
$60,000.
Right.
Whoa.
That's what that is kind of funny to you're broke, but you have a Batman 14 and you're how old are you? How did you
I think
get
that
this?
Was just bullshit. There's no way. Way. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. they bond over, comic books. He declines the copy of Vampires Everywhere, but the brothers Frog insist, saying it might save your life someday. Michael pouts like a little bitch. A Star rides away with David and the Lost Boys. They rip apart the comic stealing couple. This couple, by the way, they're like 2 summers away from joining a Manson camp. Like these people are very, very close to like pulling. I could see these people being like Sharon Tate murderers. Like, you're gonna be a piece of shit.
We did see she was easily swayed at the beginning. She didn't even fight it.
Well, and it cracks me up. They steal the comic books and run off like it's some big caper. Like he's looking at it like gearing up to do it. And I was
you can actually see them in the car though. They're in the back window.
Yeah, now it's like she's like reading Sad Sack, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. But they get ripped apart like an old can of tuna. I love that part; it's just so good. And we get some goofy grandpa shit again, which is it's okay. Like I like it for the most part, but it's it gets kind of old because we because I'm trying to figure out exactly where we're at. So they write off. They write off with Star, she ditches we get back to, after they kill the couple, Grandpa's like, oh, the car, this is as far as I go into town. And I'm like, okay, I guess we needed to pad this runtime out because I don't need this scene at all. Or like the scene of like him going to bed and his mom talks about like the closet monster. And I was like, I mean, okay, like I don't hate it. I don't really need this either. Like, I don't know. It seems kind of goofy, shit. I don't know.
There's a lot of stuff in that scene that a lot of people bring up. You were talking about homosexuality and coming out of the closet, metaphorically. There's a lot in that scene that they really draw from. He gives him a stuffed beaver and he puts it right in the closet. And then on his closet is the Rob Lowe, right?
That's great. I never connected that. That's fucking great.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people that really go into all of that, all the little behind the scenes kind of. Maybe they're reading too much into it.
I think there's some, I think that there's definitely an undertone, but I don't know if it's that overt,
But it also plays. It also plays with Michael too. He's having a transformation. He's unsure of it. He doesn't want to do. But then David is so seductive, and he's always like Michael.
See, I don't know about that, Jesse. Like I 100% get what you're saying, and the more you say it, the more it's kind of like making like my needle move towards that way. But I think it would have been more effective if Michael wasn't so fixated on Star. If he wasn't
dead set on it,
dude, he's 100% dead set on it. But if you didn't have that element, and then you bring in like what you're saying, right? So Michael like going through this transformation, growing up, like not knowing who he is, kind of thing. I'd buy it a bit more if he wasn't so fixated on Star, I think.
Right. Like if Star was the lead vampire and he was after David, I'd be like, okay, now, but it is funny because it's like, he has these moments with David where David is like challenging him and he always turns around and runs to Star. He's always like running to the same. So I'm like, is it like I'm tempted by the fruit of another, but you turn the other way kind of thing?
Well, it's interesting because in the original draft, there was no Star. There was no female. They were all boys.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm fine, if you want to make him gay and stuff, it doesn't bother me, but that's a totally different movie.
I think
it's a very different movie.
I think the only way that you can really derive that it has any merit is it was the 80s, and we know Schumacher, how he swung, but maybe he put that in a little bit, just to kind of get it out there, make it more accepting, but I don't think it's hit over the head like it would be today.
Be very careful what you guys say next, because we're about to lose our Middle America audience.
My thing is, I think that you have Lost Boys. Everybody shown in the credits is like a misfit, an outcast freak, and I think that Joel Schumacher, as a gay person coming up in a time where they were not accepted, and still people have problems of accepting, I think that probably had felt that. That's why a lot of people. I love Frasier, John Mahoney, the guy that played the dad. A lot of people have been like, no, he was gay, but he never came out. And I was like, dude, that sucks, man. Like, I fucking hate that you have to live that way. You shouldn't have to, but I think that might be something in there of like, this is something we live with every day. We are the people who are the freaks, and we live in shadow and stuff like that. Even, I mean, Schumacher was like, in those 20,000 people were like married men, people with kids, people that like, I'll never tell who they are. I'll just go to the grave with it. But like powerful people with families, it's like that. Yeah. And they just had to live Rock Hudson, you know, like had to live this lie. It's like, that sucks, man. I think there's definitely an element of that in there.
I just hate that they have to do that so much, you know, back then. Right. Now it's a little bit more, you know, everybody's free to be whoever they want to be. That's all cool and dandy. But, you know, back in the day, I can see where people pull it from, but it's not really, you know, it's not the main focal point of it. It's just played for laughs, which is the brilliance of it. You know, if he ever intended it to be that way. And I don't think I've ever heard if it was or wasn't from Schumacher. You know,
right? Like not straight from the horse's mouth. Like even the guy, a good example. This is not quite the same thing, but the guy that played Rod in Nightmare on Elm Street, the guy that gets hung up in the jail cell.
Yep.
I think he was Hispanic, but he told everybody he was Italian, so they wouldn't fuck with him because he's like, you couldn't get a job if you were Hispanic. And I was like, I mean, it might be the other way around. I might be completely out of but basically he had to fake so he could get any roles. Like that's fucking terrible, man. The next day, the Frog Brothers drop the news on Sam at their comic book shop. Santa Carla is full of vampires who are fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. That's so ridiculous.
It's bad.
Michael buys a leather jacket and bumps into Star again. They joke about their parents being ex-hippies, and they're confronted by David. I like this whole scene. Again, our characters, I mean, we're now 25, 30 minutes into the movie, but we've known these characters already for like the past 10 minutes. I was like, that's great, dude. You've got every character, you know who they are and where they're coming from. I think that's really interesting that they set up and run with everything so fast. And again, we get this scene with Sam with like the closet monster. I like it more that Jessie now pointed out the stuffed beaver. Now I like it. Yeah. Now I like the scene a lot more. I was like, okay, that's cool. I think I might be jumping around here a little bit. Oh yeah, they have the 80s montage.
Right?
Yes,
yeah.
That montage. Like you don't have to. It's like I can't beat your bike. You don't have to, Michael. Just he gets on a bike and rides off, and everyone's like, "Are you having a stroke?" Michael almost crashes. He even lands a punch on David, who asks, how far are you willing to go? That is one of my favorite shots is Michael right after punching him and everybody's looking at him and you see that light in the background. It's like, that is so fucking Batman Forever, dude. Yep. Like that is so Batman Forever. And I love it. Because I love Kiefer Sutherland. How far are you willing to go, Michael? Like it's so tempting. And that's kind of a guy asking you, how far are you willing to go? Like, come on, dude. Like I'm on alert now. And I'm like, it doesn't bother me. It's in there. Now I'm just like, wait a minute. Is this one of them? Is this one of them? I like this scene visually. It's so striking, dude. I love it. You gotta give credit where credit's due though. Corey Haim does have a giant Molly Ringwald poster. And it's like, well, that's true. Like, I mean, you had to have that. And it's huge, huge poster. I'd love massive, to have that thing. But we let me see here.
They go to their cave,
That's
right?
Right.
Yeah.
They go to the Bat Cave, literally, as I put in my notes. Blah blah blah. They go to their hangout. I asked the scene of why I need him with the closet monsters is stupid. Marco brings back Chinese food, and the games begin with Michael and the Lost Boys. I just picture Marco just like waiting in the air for a guy on a moped to go buy Chinese food. I was going to ask
this. I thought about this today. I was like, are they pumping gas? Where are they getting? So they're just sitting there pumping gas and they're just sitting there, you know, filling up their bikes, you know, doing normal everyday stuff.
He hijacks an Uber.
Yeah. It's like he goes there and he's ordering at the counter. Yeah, come on, buddy. Let's go. You know, I thought about that during this
feet
scene.
On the linoleum. He's like tapping like click, 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 click. I just picture him flying away with some like the mopeds in Vice City, the Fagio thing, I can't remember what they're fucking called, but just him picking some dude up. Just,
yeah, dude, it's funny. It's funny that you pictured that because I just pictured like fucking him just flying through the air with just like a couple of like plastic bags.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
How could a billion Chinese people be wrong? I love that. I mean, come on, dude. How do you not like rice? Get the fuck out of here. after some food play, the wine is brought out, and because it's the 80s, we get our second montage in 10 minutes.
Oh my god, dude. Fucking wearing me thin at this point.
I know. This is when like the 80s shit is just like, man, this is fucking 80s. They're worms, Michael. Like, God, it's so addictive though. I'm sure he had such a hell of a time of like, come on, dude, like the jacket, the mullet, like Kiefer Sutherland was like, dude, I look like a fucking wrestler, like a pro wrestler up here with this mullet on, man. But it's so strange seeing this scene and Marco, it's just like they cut to so many shots of like the other two guys. And it's like, it's so weird that Alex Vincent is like a back player on this. That's such a weird thing. Like obviously Kiefer Sutherland's going to be like the lead guy, but like Alex Winter just feels like he should be more up there. You know, I feel like they should give him more to do.
Well, that's just because we're looking at it because we know what he became later.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They pass the wine around, you know, I love that she's like, it's blood. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And later on, he's like, that was blood, not wine. Yeah. She's like, I fucking told you that.
That's because he was tricked. He was tricked 2 times in a row. And he's like, I'm not going to be the fucking asshole. You're not going to get me this time, you know, kind of thing.
Right. I like that. They kind of psych him out a little bit. Thou shall Michael. Sorry, what?
I mean, you would honestly, you would taste that, right?
Yeah, blood. I mean, their blood is kind of glittery. Is it like
I've never had wine that tasted like blood. I'm sorry. It just never.
But what I do like about the scene, and I wonder if any of you guys caught this, was like, so after the scene, you know, we had this great image of them hanging underneath the thing. Like, oh my God, come on, dude. Like this felt like such an 80s, 90s, like daring a kid to hang on, like type thing. This was so, oh my God, we did shit like this all the time. I mean, not exactly like this.
I was like, shit, are we talking to a vampire?
On a lower scale, we'd be like, hey, you know, jump off the deck with the umbrella, see if it'll make you fly. You know, like we just shit like that. But what I think is really cool is that if you kind of pay attention, it's like Michael's being baptized. It's like Michael eats the food, which is like the bread. He drinks the wine, and then he literally dips. Like it's like he's dunked into the fog, you know. And it's like he's being baptized into this thing. And I think I was like, wait, how did I was raised Church of Christ for like 15 years. How the fuck did I not catch that? I was like, it's so weird.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought that's where the movie was going. I thought that Michael was being kind of like groomed to become one of the new Lost Boys, right? Like I just thought,
yeah.
Is that the intention? Like, is that what's the... Okay, cool, great.
I think not at first, because at first Star's supposed to kill him, but I think we've gotten past that point. I think now...
I think the turning point where David actually accepted him was Michael had the balls to take it all the way on the cliff.
Right, yeah. Like, I'm sure he's like, you punched me in the face. Like,
yeah,
wow.
he's like, oh shit, all right, this is another strong alpha kind of thing. You know, so
dick is hard as fuck, man. Let's go.
Let's go. Got that cocaine dick wrong in the 80s.
Yeah, right.
But I think that's the turning point when they're like, okay, we're gonna put this guy in our group, you know, because they wouldn't give him his blood if they knew Star was gonna use him as the first kill or whatever.
Yeah,
they would have just ate him.
Right. The point I love is when everybody starts falling and it's just Michael and David left, and David falls, and Michael just, he's like, David! And he's so fucking terrified. Cause I get like watching it, I was like, dude, this guy feels like he's just a few notches above like Hayden Christensen in the prequel sometimes. And I don't hate him as much as other people do, but I was like, you would have been a perfect Anakin in like 2005. Like you would have been great.
Another point that his acting really kind of it went above was when they're on the tree later when he sees their full transformation. You can kind of see that shock and horror on his face, and I'm like, I
love that part because most of the movie he's very stoic and he's just like handsome, brooding, kind of. It's like, okay, I get it. We're trying to put some asses in some seats here. Yeah. But I don't know, you know. But he ends up waking in bed. I fucking love. He's falling and he kind of like, wait a minute. What am I? He just snaps back into it.
It's the Bill and Ted falling to hell part, you know.
I love this visual. I love the transition of time. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. You've been asleep for God knows how long. How the fuck did you get home? Right. You're still wearing your clothes. And she asks him like, right. Sam wakes up Michael, another great use of that slow-mo. Their mom asks him to watch Sam so she can go out with Max. Grandpa has a date with the widow Johnson. What'd you do? What's your stuff for, Mr. Johnson? I was like, that's a great line.
Yeah, I love it.
I loved it.
You miss it if you don't really pay attention to it, but there it is.
Right. And I love, he's like, that's not funny. And I was like, yeah, it is. That's fucking great, dude. That's some dark-ass humor. But once he leaves, we get this kind of fuckery with Nanook, and Nanook saves Sam from an out of control Michael. And the brothers realize that Michael has no reflection. This is awesome. Just him kind of, you don't even really know what's going on. It's just your body transforming to this shit that you drank. I think it's awesome. And some of the effects don't hold up great, but they aren't jarring. They don't really like take me out of it super bad.
Yeah.
There's been movies from the early 2000s that take me out of it more than this does, dude. My own brother, a goddamn shit sucking vampire. You wait till mom finds out, buddy. That's a great line. Michael pleads with Sam as he calls the Frog Brothers for help. He fucking wakes up on the ceiling. I was like, dude, that is wicked. This is some of the fun, like the fun and games part of like if you were a vampire and didn't know it. And I really like that. Him on the ceiling, like going out the window, grabbing the phone, just trying to hold on. Like
trying to hold on because he'd float away,
Right. It feels like somebody turned the gravity off. Like, fuck, dude, that's great. The part where he gets on the phone with it, because the Frog Brothers are like, fucking kill him and get it over with. But when he's calling his mom and he looks at the window, there's like, don't listen to him. It's like, fuck, like, get out of here, you creepy motherfucker. And eventually, she runs home and, she shows up. Everything's fine now. They kind of talk, Michael down. And this is a great bonding moment between the two of them. I like this a lot. Your mom comes home. She's pissed. Laddie on the milk carton. That's a really great touch. Yeah. I like that a lot. Yeah. It shows that it's like, these aren't just random people that nobody cares about. Like somebody's looking for this kid. Like, man, that's a good touch because nobody gives a fuck about the adults, but this little kid, it's like, dude, somebody's looking for him.
Yeah.
There's a great moment earlier that I totally went by when they're in the video store with Max. I'm sorry to jump back so far. But when the little kid comes in and he's missing, right when he comes in and starts talking to the mom, on the other side of the store come in the Lost Boys. And it's like, it's almost like seeing the beginning, what you will become. I was like, it's fucking, it's creepy. Blah, blah, blah. Laddie's facing the milk carton. Michael sneaks out as grandpa gets home. I'd love it. He walked with like a limp into the house. Like, ow. Michael sneaks out as Sam gets into bed with his mom with some garlic. LOL. It's weird. I like the red herring with Max though, and the kite,
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot because it's, we're dipping our toes in different stuff. What is grandpa really doing when he leaves the house? What does this kite thing mean? And they kind of leave it open ended. You just see the lights and that's it. Like, Zoheb, what did you think of seeing that part with Max? Like, did you think they were coming after him? Like, what did you think?
I'm going to be 100% honest. There was a couple times when I closed my eyes last night as I'm watching this.
You had one job.
It's only 90 minutes, but I think there was like 2 times when like I was just like, I was like, I'm pacing out for a second, and then I came back into it. So I'm sorry, but
there's a part where Max is coming home. No, I'm just kidding. Just explain the whole scene.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's an interesting because they don't really go anywhere with it. They kind of leave it open ended. Are they going to turn him into one? Is he dead? Like, what happens?
Yeah, because you've been seeing him kind of be intimidated. Yeah, and so it was a really good point to fall asleep to, I guess.
Oh, right, yeah. Sorry, no, I do remember what scene. Yep.
No,
I'm looking at it because, like, Colin, you're talking about a kite, and I'm like, what kite?
It's just Max on a sunny day, just like, this is nice.
Yeah,
flying a kite. But dude, like, I was like, I don't want you to panic or anything because I didn't watch a director's cut or anything. Like, everything's like, it's the same copy. It's just
it's the same across the board, I believe.
Yeah, it's just I created a new reality based on the information that was presented to me.
After we get this red herring with Max, Michael comes and finds Michael finds Star in the cave, and they fucking hump. Dude, the deleted scenes on this
have 80s fucking scene.
Dude.
Yes, it
like
is. It had to be there. Yeah.
It's through tightly veiled,
It's
like
slow-mo. It's slow-mo.
Dude.
Let's put a filter on the camera.
Yeah.
The deleted scene is
even
so
longer.
long.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, it's like 40 to 50 seconds of the song, and it's just going around the same angles forever. I was like, oh my God, dude, this is real. Like, I'm watching these two underage people fuck. And I was like, I don't feel good about this.
When in the deleted scene, they had to blur her chest because I guess it showed or something.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I was like,
you gotta see Gert's tits?
Yeah, but you don't in the deleted scene. I was looking, buddy. I was like, hell yeah, extra credit. Here we go.
I believe we call Jamie Gert's tits Gerties. Thank you very much.
Gerties.
Gertits.
You can see them in a deleted scene when she's very cold, I guess, if you it's in there. God,
she was she was in Twister, but she was Jerry's girlfriend with telemarketer sex job, whatever. Like yeah, they have sex, which magically heals his hand, I guess, because her snatch is so perfect. No, I'm just kidding. Good God. If that's the power you have, I'd be like begging cancer patients and shit. Like, come on, like, let's get it out of here. I gotta take one for the team.
Put your rotting corpse arm inside my vagina. The doctor's like, sorry, sir, we're gonna have to amputate. Where's Jamie Gertz? Get me Jamie Gertz.
Get her here. I could have used her. My wife went like that quote, but I could have used her before my surgery.
Oh. Yeah, especially for jaw surgery.
Jaw surgery, exactly. Like Batman. Did you see that?
Yes.
When Batman goes down?
This is an experimental treatment.
Right. I can't believe
I'll do it.
We live in a world. We live in a world where like people have to yes, Batman gives cunnilingus. Like we live in a world people have to draw those lines.
On that bullshit.
Let me see here. After they bang, Mom tries to drop in on Max during the day, and Thorne tells that bitch to back the fuck up. I love that. That's a great.
This is good.
Yes, dude, if you know anything about vampires, you kind of start going like, wait, he asked to be invited. You never see him during the day. He's got a familiar that's Thorne, his dog that protects him. I was like, okay, like now as an older person, I'm like, oh, of course, all the signs are there. But like as a kid, I know all these,
Yeah.
Could you almost write a story where Thorne was a werewolf? Could you almost do that?
That would be fucking awesome, dude. I would love that. Like
just a fucking lichen.
Yeah, it's a lichen. It's an underworld kind of situation going. That's what they originally were in that storyline. Well, I guess vampire storyline. I would
love just see Thorne turn into an albino werewolf. Like fuck, that would be awesome.
But lichens and vampires are like sworn enemies, right? So they wouldn't be.
They are now, but I think the mythology that they'd written for vampire was that they guarded them during the day. That was their original.
That's cool.
That was their original relationship, and then they revolted as one will do.
How have we not spoken about this, Colin? I'm sure. But actually, I think we mentioned it. This just reminded me a lot of Skyrim, like when you choose to become a werewolf or a vampire. And I was like, I remember the first play around, dude. Jesse, have you played
Oh,
Skyrim?
yeah, 100%. Are you kidding me?
Dude, the first play around, I was like, all right, man, I want to be a vampire. I want to suck some blood. And I was like, this fucking sucks.
I went vampire, buddy. Or I went werewolf, sorry. Yeah.
Holy shit. I was like, that's fucking garbage. Where's my fucking load fucking... I want to load a fucking new game again. Holy shit.
Yeah. I worked at GameStop when that released. So it was the biggest thing in the world for sure. And it only kept growing from there, but yeah, we would constantly come in and talk about it. I was like, dude, I'm going werewolf. I'm going to rip people apart.
I love, dude, the DLC, the Dawn Guard DLC is great. I love that. But yeah, what is it? The Champions? Is that the Champions Guild in Whiterun? I think that's where you become a werewolf.
Yeah. Where you go behind the rock and all that. Yeah.
Yes, I would always like werewolves are a little bit more tragic, but at least it's something where it's like you can schedule when you turn into this monster. Like you have.
All right, I can't go out next Thursday.
Right? Yeah, I've got about 62 days
I can't go out
before
in any daylight. I can't go out. Just Jesus Christ.
Let me see here. Sam meets with the Frog Brothers, who claim that they're aware of ghouls and werewolves that occupy high positions at City Hall. And for Sam just to go ahead and kill his brother. I like this. He kind of sells him on this. He's like, hey, you'll become the heroes, truth, justice, American way, yada, yada. They eventually agree to check out Max is basically what they do. And they see, just to see if he is the head vampire over dinner at the house. Their attempts fail though, and the boys are back to square one once Max leaves. That is a really sad scene because it's like I think this is the moment where they're digging so hard with Max to make you like him, because he is, even in the face of like these kids being shitty to him and he's trying to start this relationship. He's still cool.
Yeah.
He's still like, hey, I just want to be your friend. I'm not trying to replace your dad. Like, he is such an understanding guy. You can't help but be like, man, even I feel bad. I didn't even do this shit.
What did you think about that mythology change right there? If you invite him in, all powers are renderless against it?
Yeah, see, that's what I was...
Is that just a cop-out, just so you could do the fake-out later?
Like a writer's kind of like... punch. Yeah. I don't know, actually. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I didn't think about it too hard, because it was 3 a.m., but no, look, I think I definitely know the inviting in, for sure, but yes. I is that not the case? I always thought that it was, if you invite them in, they're rendered powerless. Like,
well, apparently a stake through the heart still works,
right? Because he got it later.
This is my gripe, and I'll go ahead and bring it up here. My gripe with the movie, as it breaks its own rules, is like, so Max stands at the door. I won't come in unless you invite me. But then David just shows up, and they just blast through the chimney. And I was like,
all of them.
Who let you in? Like, I don't, I'm not one of those people most of the time that just like, oh, that's not, what I read when I was a kid. But it's like, you have established this. Like, we're playing by your rules here. Like, come on. I was like, I don't know. It just kind of stuck me a little bit.
It might have been an oversight, or it might even just be the fact that they are rebellious. The Lost Boys are rebellious or something like that. I don't know. I feel like there's more to it, because Max strikes me as someone who is I don't know, like he really wants to follow the rules. Like,
traditional. Right. He's a traditional.
He's a traditionalist. So I don't know, like I kind of like get the sense that they're not going to, the Lost Boys are not going to, stand on ceremony. Well,
and I think there's something too where it's like, it's not that you have to invite me in or I can't cross this threshold. You just, I'm a little less powerful or something. I don't know. But it just seemed like
maybe the whole thing to it is, if I can still go in there and slaughter you all, but if I want to go in and trick you or seduce you or something like that, it renders all powers against me at that point.
Maybe it's just a shitty movie.
Right. No. It's not shitty. Come on now. No,
they just pick and choose what they want.
It could be that there was a deleted scene, like where Michael might have been like, come check this out, or,
Right, that's true. They cut a lot of shit for this movie. I mean, they cut a lot of stuff.
What do you think that is? Because, like, an hour and a half.
Studio. It's always studio. It's always studio bullshit. Right? Yeah. I mean, every story I've ever listened to of, oh, this movie was this or that, it's always studio method.
It's a studio, yeah.
They have money. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I like that he, again, it's so hard not to like him. He brings the roses, but Grandpa scopes him and he's like, And I like that. It's a little foreshadowing that, like, what's up with that dude? And the fact that Grandpa just shuts the door, that it's like, I get it, you're kind of a shut in or whatever. But
did you catch what Grandpa starts doing right after that?
No,
he's doing the fence post with the.
Like it's literally got the the whole sharpened edge and everything.
Right, like that when they steal where they take the car off or whatever. Because I like I like all of this. This is really good. Just the whole thing. Then trying to get him to guard like he's not glowing. I like all this. It's goofy, but it's pretty cool. But he leaves. We all feel like pieces of shit. Sam's a little cunt. But even the thing that I like is even Nanook is not barking, is not freaking out. It just jumps up and is like, it's a little, like it barks a little bit, but they're like, oh, hey, Nanook.
He was invited in. He was invited in. So,
right. Yeah. He's like, that's interesting. I tell you what, actually, you know what? Before we jump into another scene, we're over halfway. Let's go take a break. We'll use the restrooms, do a little halftime. What do you guys say?
That's fine with me.
Hell yeah, guys. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere with this second half of our coverage of Lost Boys.
Hey gang, it's Matt from Midnight Double Feature, and it's time for a commercial break. I know, exciting, right? Probably a favorite part of the episode, I'm sure. If you want to support the show, please consider giving us a 5-star review on iTunes to help us rank up in the charts and expose us to more potential listeners. Also, to make sure you're not missing out or anything, please consider following us on social media. You know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the works. And if you want to get to know us more personally and our community, join our Facebook community group, where we post memes, polls, trailers, and more. And you can get in on all the fun with the MDF game. If you want to be a super fan and show the world, why not pick up a t-shirt or coffee mug at our store, midnightdoublefeature.com. And if you want even more content, be sure to check out our Breaking Bad podcast, Bad Crystal. And if you want even more content than that, you can join the Green Room by signing up for our Patreon for access to bonus feed episodes, discount on merchandise, and more. And if you want even more content, geez, dude, calm down. That's like a lot as it is. Get a bit of a stalker now. Don't get too greedy. Damn. There's always older episodes you can check out. Seriously, dude, just dial it back a bit. Seriously. Wow. Anyways, back to the episode.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Coming at you with the second half of our coverage of Lost Boys, freshly squeezed, as we always like to say. Really kind of picking up where we left off, where Michael goes to confront David about where Star is. He's like, if you ever want to see her again, you better come with us. It's really just this great scene of them taking out the surf Nazis, as they're credited as, which is weird. I think
so, yeah.
Which now I don't feel so bad. I was like, oh, well, they are Nazis. Nah. Like,
let them go.
The great image of them sitting in the tree and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that looks so good. I think it was my brother Adam who was like, dude, I think it was this scene or when they're in the tunnel at the end and he grabs Corey Haim. And he's like, when Kiefer Sutherland turned out of the shadow and was right there, he's like, I lost it. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's a great, that's Tim Curry and it. Just, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, that's the moment that ruined me forever. But this whole scene's brutal. I mean, apparently they toned down a lot of this shit. Like Kiefer Sutherland was like, there was a guy's head that I just bit into like a cake and it exploded. And I was like, oh yeah, give me that shit, dude. Yeah. I was like, that's awesome.
You see a little bit of that, but not much.
I think what they do is really cool because it's all edited it's like the body hitting the thing and it's all loose. And like this whole scene is like, fuck. But like, Zoheb, what did you think once you finally got like the vampire load blown?
Were you asleep?
I was definitely awake for it, and I was really happy because I was like, man, like this movie needs to ratchet it up.
Yep.
You know, like it came at a point when, it really kind of like for me, and like, you know, me falling asleep isn't, you know, the movie being boring. It's just, you know, I had a long day. I watched it at night. But like I needed something adrenaline fueling, like, you know, and this came at a perfect time in the movie, dude. It was like wild. Right. And I love the colors. I love the colors in this movie. You know,
you got the sepia tone to everything and the orange.
Dude, the orange, and then like when it's night, it's like that steely blue, and then like here it's like like that fiery red orange. Like, man, Schumacher did a fantastic job at the visual language of this movie, dude. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You'll never grow old, Michael, and you'll never die.
Right. I love that. Now you know what you are. Now you know what we are.
But you must feed.
That's so good. After the Star shows up to the house and confirms that she and Laddie are only half vampires like Michael, she asks for help. They kind of scoff. You know, he goes back and forth. It just cracks me up. It was that night in the cave, wasn't it? It's like, yeah, you fucking idiot. Like, what's wrong with you?
It's only been 2 fucking days. Come on, man.
Right. Dude, like, what the fuck is going on?
Hold on. Let me think about this.
Right. Like, maybe they should have got Ben Stiller like Zoolander. Like, But she ends up leaving. I love that she can actually fly. It's like, cool. They fucking give her something to do in this movie because there's like 2 female characters and only one of them really does shit.
Right. It's the 80s.
Right.
You don't even see her turn or nothing. So
right. It's
we're not gonna give them voting rights. Come on, God damn it.
But she ends up leaving. You know, we kind of get this. Just this. I guess this rebuttal, for lack of a better term. Sam goes to the Frog Brothers. They meet up at the house. Where's El Vampiro Nosferatu? Like, God, these guys are just so fucking cool. But this is where they decide to raid the cave and save Laddie and Star. They show up to the cave. I love them getting the holy water. You know, the grandfather putting the stake in the ground. It's all, you know, this is a great, again, it's a 80s as fuck montage, but I like it. Oh, no, they don't get the holy water yet. That's after.
They get it right after this, yeah.
That's right. I'm putting it before, not after. They steal the car. They go out. Nice. I really like the moment from Sam and Michael where he's like, you know, Corey Haim does the best he can with him. He's like, even though you're a vampire, you're still my brother. And I'm like, God, that must have been a hard line to get through. I would have been like, this is fucking stupid. But they get in the cave. How fucking sound sleepers are these vampires? Because, like, I'm sorry, like, they're not in comas. Like, how do you not hear just like these kids screaming 10 feet, you know, below you? Like, oh my God, that just drove me nuts. It's like vampires have like super hearing, you know, like they have great senses, and it's like just them, like, what are they on Ambien hanging upside down?
A long day.
The surf Nazis had a lot of Ambien in their system, so when they drank that blood, they went into a coma.
They were the surf Nazis were detoxing off meth, and they just like fucking knocked the vampires out. Yep. What I love is, you know, when they stake Marco, it's not just like, oh, you turned to dust. It's like this horrible watching an animal get just dying in front of you. It's like
so much blood. So much.
You ought, like,
sparkly,
I almost
sparkly blood.
Yeah, unicorn blood. I almost feel bad for them, like in the scene of like, oh man, it's like Evil Ed in Fright Night, you know, laying on the floor, and it's like, this is not your fault, man. That's fucked up. Like that, like, you should not be dying this way. It's a fucked up way to die. You didn't deserve that. And there's something kind of sad just seeing him writhe in that pain. And also, like, hey, there's 3 of you. Maybe line up with 3 of the vampires before you stake the first one there. like you fucking idiot. But we get this great scene of him pulling on Corey Haim. The teardrop. Everybody's heard this shit where it's like the contact lenses were fucking up his eyes. I was watching a panel with him, and he was like, yeah, these contacts, you know, they're glass, which is like, dude, the guy from like The Exorcist, the guy for American Werewolf in London, it's like these poor people that had to wear, Linda Blair having to wear all these contacts and shit. And he was like, they're glass. And after about 9 minutes, they would suck the moisture so much out of your eye that it would cause permanent damage. And he's like, so that tear was the last of the moisture I had in my eyes.
Do you know what that was made for originally?
No.
It was, I think it was World War II for people to jump out of planes without goggles.
Wow.
The British developed it. The glass.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Of course they did.
Like, I had no idea.
We're not going to wear any goggles.
No,
we're going to develop our own contact lenses.
No goggles, lads.
Sorry,
man,
Craig
that's
Daly.
crazy. They eventually they escape. David nearly captures them, but luckily he's overpowered by 3 14-year-old boys. Now back at home, they prepare for the assault. This is where they get the holy water and stuff. It's a good scene. It's an 80s movie, so this is now the 5th montage we've had to check out. No, it's like the 3rd or 4th, but like you have to have at least less than 8, no more than 2, you know, or just no more than 8, you know, but have to have more than 2. They start gathering all the stuff. The bathtub with the holy water and the garlic is fucking awesome. That's so cool. Really, I mean, we're kind of right here at the end. We're an hour, 15 minutes in of an hour 37 movie, you know, and basically, I don't want to go past Max going to his mom and be like, Sam going to his mom and be like, to hell with Max. And it's such a good scene because, you know, he sells it really well, but it's not that she's mad. She's like, God, this is embarrassing and disappointing, and like, get the fuck out of here, you annoying little shit. Like riding a bike up in the store, like, yeah, you little asshole, like have some common decency. This kid
he's scared. Off. He's scared. I mean, that's what it is.
I hope he just gets picked off, you know, like, well, you know, also there was all these murderers like going around at the same time. This is supposed to be Santa Cruz, but they didn't really, and they were trying to repair their image kind of because there had been like a lot of serial killers. Like active. But the thing, I would love to see them survive this movie and just Ed Kemper pulls up and throws Corey Haim in a van and just drives off like, oh yeah, fuck. I mean, we were so worried about the vampires.
We forgot normal life is scary as shit.
Like Michael just gets stabbed in like a robbery. Like, oh fuck. Well, that's anticlimactic. Like, that sucks. But mom's out to dinner with Max. They trick Grandpa to get out of the house. I like that. That's pretty cool. They leave Nanook outside. I was like, come on, dude, don't kill this fucking dog. First time I saw it, I was like, don't be an 80s movie, dude. Don't be an 80s
it's
movie.
The 80s,
just keep the dog.
Sure. Yeah.
I was like, thank God. Of course they trip on the way back. Jesus Christ. But just this whole assault is cool because it's kind of like what you would think. It's not just this kind of like David does a little shadow play and some cutesy shit like when he's the last one, but they're just coming right at you. And and I like that. It's not this like shadowy playing games like Fright Night kind of like, oh, you're upstairs, but I'm downstairs and ha ha ha. And it's like, no, we're in the same room. I'm going to rip your fucking throat out.
Right.
Like, oh, that's fucking badass. The scariest image, I think, is really the dude who gets in the bathtub. And then when he comes up, all the hair is like gone and he looks like the dude in RoboCop who's like, help me. Like the fucking.
Did you see how they
run him over?
Yeah. Did you see how they did that effect?
What, this one or RoboCop?
This one.
No, I didn't see that.
His mask was made out of styrofoam and they dunked him in acetone and it ate it away.
Damn, that's fucking cool.
Yeah. So it had layers to it. And I was like, what the fuck?
That sounds safe.
Yeah, I know. I was like, acetone, what the fuck? I was like, don't do that shit. WD-40 will take it off too. It eats it. It gives it that. It looks like a alien. I used to do that shit all the time. You get WD-40 and you spray it on styrofoam. It looks like alien blood.
Oh, nice.
Damn.
That's fucking cool.
I don't know how I figured that out or heard that or
what
something.
was your process? What was your discovery process there?
I was probably fucking around making fireballs and shit.
You're like, my bike was squeaky. I sprayed some WD-40 on it.
Right next to some styrofoam, and I was like, I thought it was an alien, and I was freaking out.
But they get the guy in the bathtub. They get death by stereo, which is funny. And then we kind of get this last kind of dance with David. But the weird thing is, like, the Frog Brothers, instead of helping in any capacity to like defeat other adults, are like, let's kill Laddie. It's like, fuck off, dude. Like, this kid is not, he's not really actively trying to kill you until you come after him. Like, fuck off. Like, leave the little kid alone. I don't know. It just cracked me up. Where it's like, these guys just mutiny or just like start killing normal humans and shit. Yeah. Like, Jesus, dude, calm down.
They got the thirst now for it.
You miss, sucker. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I do like Sam gets him with the bow, though. It's like, that's inventive. Okay, cool. He explodes like the fucking band From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yeah, a little bit. But you know, really right here at the end is where we have this like kind of last tango with David and stuff. You know, it's a little goofy. You know, there's some parts of it. It doesn't really last long.
It's very quick.
It's a little anticlimactic, but the thing I kind of like is seeing even though Laddie's on screen as a vampire for 20 seconds, he's fucking terrifying. Yeah. That little kid as a vampire is like, A, what sucks is being that young and having to wear all that makeup, but then B, it being for like 20 seconds of the movie.
Right.
And it's like, that sucks. But he rips up through the bed and like his whole face is fucking gnarly. But this thing with David, I don't know. It just feels so just like, oh, I'll just turn and shove you backwards. It's like, oh, well, okay, I guess. Like, whatever.
So horns are now wooden stakes?
I guess.
Oh, don't worry. In the comic books, because this didn't technically pierce his heart. He comes back. Like, yeah.
Schumacher left it open for that. Yeah.
I saw, because there's no like explosion. You know, it's not like Marco. I was like, which, I mean, okay, like I get that maybe like, you know, I don't know, wood, antler. Are we going to start taking like DNA sample, or we're going to turn into CSI here and start comparing like notes? I don't know. But what I do love is once he gets stabbed, when it cuts to Michael and it's still all red and you just hear, thou shalt not. And it's the specific kill, thou shalt not kill. It's like, that's awesome, dude. And it seemed Michael looking at like, holy shit. Like I was very close to becoming that. And like his yellow eyes and the all red and just his expression is like probably my favorite moment out of Jason Patrick, because he just and just breeze in this like, oh my God, dude, the red light, the horn sticking up. It's so great. Even when he pulls in Jamie Gertz, she's like, don't let them see me. It's just that light across his eyes. Like, damn, that's good.
It's a good
thing. It's so awesome.
Very good lighting, very good cinematographer.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that Michael's not just like, hey, everybody, look at me. He's like, no, I don't want you to, I don't want you to see me like that. Mom shows back up with Max. We figure out Max, excuse me. We figure out Max is the head vampire. I love that little moment where she's like, you were the secret that David was keeping. He's like, yeah, there's me, bitch. Like, he's got his glasses cleaned up. Like, it's me.
I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, fucking eat shit. He looks so goofy in vampire makeup. He looks terrible. It's not good. Like Michael's looks amazing. I think Michael and
Michael's
Alex Vincent look the best.
Michael's absolutely looks the best. Like
it's killer, dude.
But I totally agree. Max's one looks like something out of Buffy, the TV show. Like,
oh man, you guys watch Seinfeld a lot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. The Maestro, Bob Cobb.
Yeah.
That is the master from the first season of Buffy. That's the bald master. That's
really?
Like the main bad guy. It's like that guy.
I
remember. He tries to tempt Mom. Mom says no. Grandpa comes in, and they end up, obviously impaling Max. This line, I gotta say, it's excuse me, it's ballsy. Like the what they end on.
Yeah.
One thing about living in Santa Carla, I never could stomach all the damn vampires, and it's ballsy. But I love the final shot of all of them just in like.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
Are you fucking kidding me? You brought me here.
Us that, you motherfucker.
Right.
I know, but
that's. I packed my shit. I drove
your two
cross-country.
grandchildren.
Yeah. Fucking drove cross country, and you knew that the undead were inhabiting this place. What the fuck?
Like, sell your house and move to Arizona, you fucking numb cunt. Like, what's wrong with you?
Board a plane, and fly to a different country, maybe.
Right. Like, dude, I couldn't imagine now just because, like, California, the state that it's in, if these guys were running around right now, like, oh, dude, you'd have a feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's fucking Lost Boys, man. I'm glad we covered it. I'm glad we got it. I mean, come on. In the echelon of vampire movies, like, I'm glad we did Let Me In. I really do want to do Let the Right One In, but it's like, you already did Let Me In. What's the difference? It's not a whole lot of crazy different stuff. But I think if you talk about vampire movies, this is definitely, I mean, it's a must.
Yeah, you have to at least experience it once.
Yeah, I definitely, absolutely. Even if you're not like a huge like horror movie, whatever, it's actually kind of fun. I think that just in kind of my closing thoughts, I think that the ending of this definitely holds on to a lot of that first draft where it's a kind of a family thing. Like, it's kind of hard for me to see this as an R-rated movie, except for like the few moments of gore, but it's like, dude, this would be PG-13 today. Like this would not be an R-rated movie. Like this is something, it might've been a little scary for me at like 5 or 6, but if I were 7, 8, my parents would be like, yeah, I can watch Lost Boys. Like, who cares? I mean, Monster Squad, I've been chugging that shit for 25 years. But my final thoughts, I really enjoyed the movie. I think it's on the Rushmore of modern vampire movies. I think it's essential watching if you like that stuff. I can see why you might not like it. Some people, you like wine, but that's not all just one. Some people like white, some people like red, some people like this, some people like that. So when you have something like vampires, it's just, when it's not a real thing that people, they just add their own mythology to it. Everybody has their own definition of like, just would a silver sword kill a vampire in your opinion? Blah, blah, blah. Yep. Like there's a lot of different stuff, but I think Lost Boys for the most part sticks to a lot of that shit, and they don't do a lot of clever stuff where it's like, wait, no, you can't do that. It's like they really stick to the mythos really well. But I even again for all the style over substance stuff and some of the goofy 80s-ness of it, I think it's essential viewing for most people. I at least watch it once. It's not going to hurt anything. If you don't like it, fuck it. But I think it's a great movie. I really do like it a lot. Who wants to go next?
Who are you throwing it to, host?
Let's go, Zoe.
All right. I really wanted to come out the other side of this movie, and I'm liking it. I'm sorry, I just didn't.
Is it more fun to talk about than it was to watch?
It was more fun to talk about than it was to watch. I just think it's not. I just don't think it's for me. I agree. Definitely watch it once. But I can't, for the life of me, see the ongoing appeal, other than maybe nostalgia that's maybe carrying this movie all the way through, right? I mean, like a lot of people might be getting like nostalgic over it. I don't know. I don't want to mansplain or whatever the fuck. But I mean, like, I just can't see the goddamn appeal. Like, throw on the fucking, Let Me In or Daybreakers. Daybreakers is also really good.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I think it's this cross section between horror comedy that I don't love. It's either one or the other. I don't love a mixture of it. Like, I don't want a mix of horror comedy. It's either you go really horror, you lean really heavily into the horror drama section of it, or you go really funny, like What We Do in the Shadows. Like,
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know, like I don't love the whole the mixing of it. I think visually it looks amazing. Even like by today's standards, it looks really good. Kiefer Sutherland's great. Jason Patric's great. I just there's something about it where I feel like there's not enough content here for it to fill out a runtime. Like, it's just like guy becomes vampire and needs to he learns about himself becoming a vampire. I don't know.
It's definitely an 80s movie when it comes to story.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, okay, like there's nothing. I mean, like outside of the Max reveal, I wasn't too surprised by any of the goings on. Like, I think that's why I was kind of like overall a bit. I don't want to say bored because I wasn't bored. Like it really kept me engaged, but I think I knew where it was going up until that Max reveal. And it was like it absolutely was where I knew it was going. So like, look, I think it's a solid pick, but not one that I'd watch again or I'd recommend. Unfortunately,
maybe give it another 10 years.
Yeah, probably 10 years. Like
you may have to mature into it, like I did.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I do have an interesting history with this movie, and it was like, no, it's not for me. I'm not even going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I want my vampires, to be this and not boy band, and
right. And maybe it's just me being kind of like closed off. Like maybe I should be a bit more kind of like open-minded when I'm approaching these things. But when I'm sitting there and approaching it last night, I'm just like, why do I do this?
It's like, all right. It'll always be there for you when you decide to watch it again. I mean, that's the good thing about these solenoids, they're there.
Yeah. Well, not really, because I rented it and it's going to expire soon.
Oh, well, maybe we'll send you a Blu-ray when you get ready or something.
Oh, shit. But yeah, look, Jesse, give us your closing thoughts. And then I guess Colin will close it off with like comments and then we'll head out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I would say, I said it at the beginning, this movie definitely took a trek with me. It was all over the place. I have learned to love it, but it took a while. Like I did not appreciate the 80s at all, and now I'm slowly starting to understand it. I still don't like the fashion sense a lot. I think it's goofy. Yeah. I think the soundtrack helps because sometimes you do want to hear that Cry Little Sister song, but that I Still Believe and Lost in the Shadows, those are the three main hitters for me off that soundtrack. And so I will put those on every now and then. It's just, to be honest with you, I opened my eyes because I heard another podcast talk about this years and years ago. Kevin Smith talked about it, and he was actually one of the first people I listened to on podcast. And he just kind of made like his little jokey kind of thing. He kept singing the song over and over and over. And I was like, oh, yeah, that is from that movie. And I was like,
I feel like I've heard that too. Was it Batman?
No, it predates all that. It's Smodcast from 10, 12 years ago or whatever it is.
He's
been
podcasting since 2007.
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus.
But he's a good champion of it. He said, and this really kind of what made us want to start, said, just do it. It doesn't matter if anybody listens to it. Just do it because you enjoy it. You enjoy the company. You keep doing it. So that's really why we started it. And, it's funny that it has that history with me and this movie. It all kind of links together. I tell my wife every year we're gonna be David and Star for Halloween, and we never do it. And I really want to do it. I was just like, can I commit to like a full on mullet? I don't know. I just
I'll be the security guard at the carousel.
I thought you were gonna be Laddie. I was like, oh. Yeah. But honestly, I can understand where Zoheb feels about it because I was there. I was there a decade ago. I was like, don't give me that shit. Give me 30 Days of Nights. Give me, Interview with the Vampire. Yeah. I want to see it, portrayed more. And I think if they did it today, they would most likely do the all females side of things. But even if they didn't, they would choose one or the other. It would most likely be ultra violent, or it would be funny because What We Do in the Shadows is phenomenal. I mean, I laughed so hard at that, and even the show. So I mean, you could go either way with it, but they wouldn't walk the line like they do in this movie. And it would definitely be fleshed out. I think it might lend itself to maybe a mini series or something. It wouldn't,
Yeah, apparently they've been trying to do a TV show for years. It's been in like development hell, like at the CW, and I'm like, don't do it like fucking like Teen Wolf or something.
Get out of here,
Come on.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that shit to me, dude. Like, don't fucking like don't Teen Wolf it. That's all I'm saying. Getting into comments, I'll start off with actually my brother Adam. Classic. You guys, Classic. You guys definitely should dive into the theory on Grandpa being a vampire or a former vampire hunter. So I think we kind of touched on that. Like, I've heard he's a vampire, or heard he hunts. Like, I think it's 50-50. Like, just imagine him in the 60s running around with a crossbow on like a Harley.
That's what I want to write, buddy. That's what I want to write. I want to do it.
I like to smoke my Jays and have my double-filled Oreos, and I'll fuck your bitch if I want to.
And stuff her afterward.
I'll double stuff her Oreos if you give me the lip. Jose Rivera, this might have been my first vampire movie as a kid. It was on TV all the time, so I'm very familiar with the story, the characters, and the soundtrack. Whenever I think of this movie, I think of Max's evil vampire laugh and the amazing moment when Grandpa comes in for the save at the end. I still get goosebumps at that part. Also, one of the best final lines / punchlines to a movie. Actually, I'm going to do his continuation as well. Also, for a laugh, read the comic Vertigo put out a couple of years ago. It continues the story, including the saxophone guy actually becoming a vampire hunter called the Believer. That's awesome.
That is very awesome. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to get that.
Yeah. Vampires can't touch him because, and get this, he's covered in holy oil.
There you go.
I believe it.
That's fantastic. I believe. You believe. I believe.
I still believe.
I still believe. Brooke Moss, one of my favorite vampire movies. And also we talk about Dirty Footed Gypsies, and somebody posted the song from Cry Little Sister because it's like crack. Guys, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you ever want to find us on our socials, obviously check us out. Jesse, where can we find Verbal Chaos?
It's on Facebook and it's on Instagram. We don't really do a whole lot with it a lot of the times, but it is there.
Nice to have. Though.
Yeah, and we like to have the community when we ask like polls and stuff like that. But
yeah,
like I said, it is literally about nothing. It's just two guys chilling, talking about
that's good, dude.
Crap. Yeah.
That's good.
It is very different being what we came from, where we would have lists and all this other stuff. So it's just like, hey, I just want to connect with my friend every now and then,
just hang out,
shoot the shit. And it's very heavily influenced from the Seinfeld, a show about nothing.
Right.
It's
that's some of the best stuff though.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's been awesome having you on, Jesse.
Yes.
Like this has been a blast.
I appreciate being on. I mean,
I don't know if we talked about where we found you or how we found you or how we know each other. Did we talk about this?
I don't think so. I'm nervous now.
It's not.
I thought I deleted all those.
It was one rainy night in Bangkok.
Yeah. It was like it's one of those like shops that you need to walk up the stairs. And, but no, it's nothing controversial. It's the same way that I know Colin, just through LSG Media. Just kind of like we're all part of that one kind of like, I guess, network.
It's a cult now. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a cult.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Totally. So yeah, I mean, like that was, it's fun getting to know people that have just been, because like Jesse, you have been part of that that page for a very, very long time. Like so
For
Colin,
quite a while, yes.
And like we've always kind of like communicated back and forth.
7 years?
Yeah, there you go. We've always kind of like
Nice.
communicated back and forth like so many times, but it's never like we've never been able to chat. So this has been great, dude.
Yes, sir. And
absolutely.
I'll come on anytime you guys want me to.
Hell yeah.
I don't have kids. I don't have shit to do. All I do is take pictures of action figures. Come on, guys.
Guys, we hope you enjoy the show. Again, stop by, rate and review us on iTunes. Check out Jesse's podcast as well, Verbal Chaos with Eric. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll catch you on the next one. Cry, little sister. Peace out, guys.
We'll be right back.